to make a video about newborn back wrapping. A lot of people have been asking me what age is good to start wrapping your baby on your back, and my answer is usually that once baby can sit in your lap with your assistance, they should have enough side support and enough head control to be able to handle that. But a lot of people do feel like they want to do that sooner, and especially if you're an experienced wrapper, that's fine. Otherwise, there's a couple tips you should know before you try that. So I'm going to wrap my newborn here. And there's a couple ways to get your newborn on your back. There is the Santa toss, which this video isn't necessarily about, so you can YouTube that if you need to see it. I'll just do a quick version of it quick. You're basically going to have baby in a little secure nest here so that you can pass her onto your back. And then once baby is on your back, you're going to pass the left rail back over to that side. I myself prefer the hip scoop method, so I'm going to show you that as well. You know, it really depends on people's bodies, what they are able to do and what they're able to feel comfortable with. A lot of people feel better with the Santa toss, and a lot feel better with the hip scoop method, and you know, whatever works for you is what you should do. Either way can be safe for baby, but people's bodies bend differently. So this is the method I prefer. And when I do a hip scoot, I like to start with the back towards the shoulder I'm going to go towards, already over it. Makes a little less wrap to get tangled. And then I'm just going to gather up the rest by baby's butt. And I'm going to start with baby really high as I can with my arm over baby's head really. Then I have to do less bouncing once baby's back there. And I'm going to just lift my arm up over baby's head and grab baby's bottom and just gently bounce baby up into place. You want a newborn to be as high as you can on your back, to be able to see the baby, and also to make sure that you can hear baby breathing and make sure that baby's airway is clear. So once you have your baby in position up here, what you're going to do is just ever so gently place these between your knees, and you're going to want to pull down the fabric so that you're just getting to baby's neck for support. You don't want the fabric up over baby's face, but you do want it high enough that it's supporting baby's whole back and neck. There we go. And when we talk about getting a seat with a newborn, you're not so much getting a seat as keeping baby in proper position. You're definitely not going to be shoving a ton of fabric up between you and baby, a little baby like you would with a toddler or an older baby, because you'll be splaying baby's legs if you do that, and there's basically just no room to get a seat. They have no butt. They just have a teeny tiny butt. So what you're going to want is the fabric all gathered right here by baby's legs, and making sure that there's a nice little pocket there for baby. You can see that there's a little pocket here, and I'm not shoving any under baby. She's just nice and supported. And then what you're going to want to do is start tightening your rails. So it's best to do this, especially with a newborn in a mirror, so that you can make sure that you're tightening where you need to and that baby is nice and secure. And you're going to walk through, and you're really going to concentrate on that top rail, making sure that baby's neck is secure. You don't want baby to be able to flump to one side or the other while back there. You also don't want to cut baby's circulation off by pulling too tight, so it's really a fine balance in between the two. As you can see, this is nice and taut, it's not too tight. I'm going to work on the other side, so I'm going to put this between my knees. I'm going to find my top rail. My baby is leaning as they tend to. Now there are a couple tie-off options I really prefer for newborns. I really like to do a reinforced rear rock rebozo with a newborn. I feel like it's a nice secure carry. Alternately, if you have a longer wrap and you want to do just a regular ruck style, you can do that. One way to do it, if you're not wanting to go over and under baby's legs, which you can do, I'll show you an alternate in a second. When you are going over and under your baby's legs, make sure you're catching that first seat you started for baby so that you're locking that fabric down, as you can see here. I'm going to show you the other option. If you're not wanting to cross over and under because those little legs are ever so tiny, we can also take this rail that's nice and stiff and go over the top of baby's legs. Or if you'd like to do reinforced passes that don't just go over the leg, you can also spread these. And you form a nice little pocket for baby. So I'm going to pick spreading both of them. You always want to keep one hand on baby, especially if you're new at this and you're not as fluent at it as I am, and you're not using doll. When you do a reinforced rec, you're going to want to cast the slack back to yourself and then pull it out with this side. And if you're having trouble getting that rail as high as you need to on baby's back, a good way to work on that is to kind of just bring it back up over this shoulder to tighten it. Alright. Once you get baby nice and secure, you want to double check and make sure that you have retained your neck support for baby, your side support. And check baby's legs. I like to, even before I tie off, hold these in place and do what's called a little tush push. So I'm basically going to give baby's little knees and feet a gentle push into optimal positioning, which is knees above bum. So now my baby is in a great position, and I'm going to go tie off. It's nice to tie off high when you have a newborn because you want them high in your back and it keeps them high. So for a reinforced, I could just tie right here and double knot, or I could still do Tibetan tie, which is just taking the rails to the opposite side and tying off. Once you have your baby up and secure and tied, you're going to want to still check baby very often in a mirror. They actually make little mirrors that you can clip on your carrier. And look in the back. I also found that turning my cell phone camera around and like you're going to take a self picture is a good way to check on baby. You always want to check for breathing, listen for signs of grunting, squeaking, make sure baby's airway is clear. Make sure that the fabric isn't interfering with baby's breathing, and that baby's head is always picked aside to be on, so that baby isn't straight into your back. Nice and high. Scarf is not good for my doll. I hope you found that helpful.